This week on Ridiculously Bored.
I feel jelly bean envy. When I played the game, I picked it and it's this big. You picked the game, it is this big. I am also, reminder, lactose intolerant. Anybody listening, if I have a heart attack, this is the order. You come and clear my search, then you call my wife.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Michael.
And I am Michael Carter.
And we are
Ridiculously Bored.
All right, Michael, we are back. Episode number 20, the season finale.
Yes.
We've decided that this is going to be the season finale. We're going to take a little hiatus and kind of revamp some things. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. But how are you doing?
I am well. Keeping in tradition with the length of seasons. I don't know why 20 episodes is the number, but
because it's a good round number. I don't know.
Maybe we'll go to Roman numerals for the next season. Really mix it up for people.
Yeah, and then confuse the hell out of everybody.
All right, so let's get right into it, because I know you couldn't wait to tell me I was wrong. Not even the episode hadn't even aired for you to reach out to me and tell me I was wrong on something.
No,
so go ahead.
It's not so much that you were wrong. I think we had a difference of definition. You always refer to the city, which if you live in New York, I get it. But if you don't live in New York, like, most of the country, the city typically means Manhattan. It means when you cross the bridge and you're in Manhattan and, Little Italy and Soho and Lower East Side. For most people that don't live in New York, that's what the city is.
Yeah,
so, but
fair,
for people that live in New York,
that's how I meant
city
it as
is, yeah, the city is the 5 boroughs. So, but when we're talking about population, I was more or less last episode talking about the population of Manhattan, because Manhattan is, most people know, is, well, not really an island. It's kind of a peninsula, but the island-ish of Manhattan has about 1.5 million to 2 million residents. But the interesting thing about Manhattan is 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, that population goes up by a factor of 8 to 10, because so many people live outside the city but work inside the city. And I think that's a pretty crazy stat.
Yeah. And so, as I mentioned, as soon as we recorded, we finished recording, the episode hadn't aired yet. You started lighting me up about, hey, look at this. New York City has 1.8 million people. You said 8 million. So we had a little bit of back and forth on that. And so
by lighting you up, you mean I presented you with the facts from the 2019 census.
Facts. As I've once told a cousin of mine, if you're going to be the voice of logic and reason, I'd prefer you shut the hell up. So what I did, because I'm not waiting for the Google police to catch you. Richie, who's been doing it for a few weeks, seems to be slacking a little bit right now. I looked up, and I kept this from you. I didn't say anything. This is the first time I'm telling you.
I was prepared for it. There's no way I could put some data in the technical corrections and not expect a retort from you, Michael.
So, based on Google, Phoenix
is
not the 5th largest city in the U.S. So your list was, and I'm reading it off, you said New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Boston, and Phoenix. The actual list, and please, people, if you can wait till I get to Phoenix, that would be great, is New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Houston, San Antonio. That's the top 5. Then it goes Philadelphia, San Diego, Dallas, and coming in at number 9, Phoenix.
I think the statistic I was looking at was the metropolitan areas. For example,
so you mean
Los
city
Angeles
versus the rest?
If you include Los Angeles, it includes the whole Los Angeles County area. So which includes Watts, Compton, like all the areas around it.
Do you know any other towns that you haven't seen in gangster
all
movies?
The boroughs? Yeah. So I think the statistics that you see a lot are specific to the metropolitan area around Manhattan, around LA, around Phoenix, which, by the way, is the 5th largest metropolitan area in the country.
I just believe so you can understand how somebody could confuse the
Yeah.
city
No,
versus
no,
the
touche,
surrounding
touche.
areas.
No, I'll absolutely give it to you. I knew that was coming. So,
All right. What else you got?
I made a mistake last week. There was we were talking about, I don't remember what we were talking about. We mentioned Q and the QAnon stuff, and I said, by the way, there's a great documentary on HBO right now called Q, The Search for Q. That is a documentary. I believe that's on Netflix. The documentary that I was referring to, though, is called Q, Into the Storm. It's a 6-part miniseries, and they've released the first 4 parts. The last 2 will be released prior to this episode airing. And the creator of the documentary says that he believes he has identified Q and will announce it in the final episode. So
Dun, dun, dun.
who knows if that's lip service or not, but so far I've been impressed with the quality of the documentary. It doesn't seem bullshitty. I've seen enough documentaries. I love documentaries. I've seen plenty of them, and I've seen enough of them where you're like, oh, you're skirting around the actual issue. You know, you're trying to weave a narrative that will sell good on TV versus like actually presenting me with facts, right? Perfect example is the Netflix documentary. It was called Making a Murderer, and it's about this small town dude that lives, I forget where it was. I think it was like up in like Minnesota or somewhere up in the Midwest, northern part of the Midwest.
Minnesota,
and
thank you for tuning in.
Yes, Minnesota. Thank you for tuning in. That one person that we all know.
You mass murderers.
Anyways, they presented, and it was like a 10 or a 12 episode series about this guy that supposedly did or did not kill this girl, and then they wove it into a story that was good for TV, but they didn't really present, like, you never really figure out like what's actually going on. The dude went to jail and you're like, oh, okay, great. But they kind of like alluded to all sorts of different things. They're saying that maybe he was put away, prematurely, and maybe he didn't do it. But when you look at the actual facts, like after the show was done, I looked at the actual facts. I mean, the dude is guilty of sin. Yeah. Right. So hate to ruin the series for you, but that was just an Hollywood version of a true story, which I'm not a big fan of. And this Q, Into the Storm, I don't believe to be that.
Yeah. And so, you mentioned these things, how they're made for like Hollywood and TV. Like one of the bigger ones, many, many years ago, and anybody who's not our age won't remember this, but it was Geraldo Rivera's Into Capone's Vault, I think it was called, something like that. And it was like a 3-hour TV show.
Oh.
Yeah, where he ends up drilling through a wall and finding nothing, right? So it was a big made-for-TV thing. The other thing is, I watched a couple years ago, there was a special. I love anything on the Titanic, right? And anything about, underwater ships and shipwrecks and
they
money
actually
that's
referenced
lost.
that show in the movie Titanic.
Yeah.
They referenced the Geraldo Rivera, and I think the punchline was his career never recovered after that.
Don't know. So as part of this show, I was watching the show called, I think it was called $1 Billion Wreck. And it was an 8-part series where they were going to go down to this boat that had, in essence, billions and billions of dollars still in it, was the idea. And after 8 episodes, they didn't do a fucking thing. They didn't show you really anything. And then it got canceled. So I was left with fucking $1 billion blue balls.
That's a great analogy. It's like all the Bigfoot shows, all the paranormal shows on TV, all the UFO shows, like none of them ever arrive at an actual like conclusion. They're all like to be continued, It's just it's annoying.
All right. What is the drink of the week this week?
The drink of the week, we talked about Moscow mules and copper mugs. So I thought it'd be interesting to have an actual Moscow Mule, which is Tito's vodka. Some people put 7-Up instead of sugar water and seltzer. I like the sugar water seltzer because you can control how sweet it is. I don't like it too sweet. And then lime juice.
Is that one of those mugs that you have suggested that sometimes disappear from restaurants when you're there? Or is that
I know what you're alluding to. I did not steal this mug from a restaurant. I did buy them. They were fucking expensive. So I'll be the first to admit it.
Just checking. I also have, I've worn my Fuck You Philly shirt for the season finale. I figured I wanted to get one more use out of this.
Yeah, I was going to say, get one last use out of that, $40 shirt? that you spelled wrong?
Sadly, about that. I wonder how much it would have been if I spelled it right.
Good. The good news is I use mine for a rag when I clean up my car. So I'm kidding.
That hurts. That hurts a little bit. Fuck you, David.
I'm waiting for that T-shirt.
Yeah, I've ordered that. You'll get one a week for life.
Speaking of fuck you, David, our hashtag F David made it again into the comments on the last episode. So, you know,
It's a
I know we
movement.
only have like 6 or 7 fans, and I'd hate to lose an entire family of them, but fuck you, Broccolo.
And I'd like to thank Mr. Broccolo for continuing that tradition.
Now that we're down to 3 fans, let's get on with the episode.
Yeah. All right. So, general stories for this week. I want to talk about. I watched this video the other day, and jokingly speaking of blue balls, I didn't end up watching it through the end, and I'll tell you the reason why. It's a video where this guy's in a plane, they're skydiving, and it's 7 or 8 people, and what he does is a bunch of the people jump out as kind of the starters or the protectors, if you want to call it that. He jumps out without a parachute. And so the idea is they're going to video some free falling stuff, and eventually he's going to get grabbed by one of them, and I don't know if they're going to connect them while they're in the air or just hold on to him, but then pull the string and they would all land. So the reason why I actually stopped watching the video is because I instantly became rooting that he died. I'm like, I can't watch this because now I just want this dude to hit the ground.
Faith in humanity diminished once again.
That's all I could think when I was watching it. I'm like, look, when you see some and again, my age, America's Funniest Home Videos, those type things. Yeah. There's some that.
By the way, that's now YouTube.
Oh, YouTube's funniest videos. Yeah. So you see things like where something happens, right? Somebody's walking up a flight of stairs and they just trip, and all the shit they got in their hands goes flying. Like, I can enjoy that. The ones where you see somebody trying to do something that is stupid, and again, as an example, ice is frozen. The girl's standing there in a bikini. She's going to jump into the ice to try to break the ice. She ends up breaking her ass because the ice doesn't break. I've
seen 30 versions of that.
Yeah. All of those, because the person's intentionally doing it, I'm just rooting for them to get hurt. And I feel bad that that's the approach I've taken on these videos, but that's how I feel.
Well, at one point in time, if you remember, and this is way back in the America's Funniest Home Videos days, people were purposely putting their children in situations where something was going to happen in hopes that it would be funny enough they'd capture it on video and end up on the show. And I do remember a press release at one point in time where people, were like America's Funniest Home Videos or ABC, whoever owned the show, having to actually come out and say, like, don't stop, like, don't do this.
Yeah. And they cracked down on videos like, it's just one random one I remember. The guy's cutting down a tree. They showed it to show how, hey, we evaluate videos if they're real or not, or if we feel they're staged. So the guy's cutting down a tree, and the tree ends up falling on the car. And the guy's like, in the video, is like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. And they're like, let's piece this together a little bit. And they're like, this is a property that has 7 acres. Like, there's no reason for the car to be right next to where the tree that they're cutting down. So they're like, we felt this one was staged, so we're not showing it. And it probably was, in all honesty. But
there's a reason.
Yeah, $10,000.
America.
Yeah. So another thing, last week you mentioned that on Instagram, we've been making a push at our ridiculous.board Instagram account. We've been adding a bunch of people, and sometimes we get the furry fucker who was like, I love furries, and I was like, delete. This week I got a different one. It is, the actual name is FJIM Movies. No, FJI Movies is what the name is. And again, I didn't know what it was.
Do we want to plug them?
I don't care. Once they're here, you can decide once you're here. FJI Movies. First thing that I get from them is an email that says, hey, I see you're now following FJI Movies. By the way, that stands for Follow Jesus in Movies. So if you're interested, and they gave me like all these fucking religious links and stuff, that one's been unfollowed as well.
Yeah. I'm not even going to go there. I'm just going to leave that one and move on to the next segment.
Jesus is watching. Especially with the Holy of weeks coming up the next couple days.
All right. So I have a game that I want to play.
Which I don't know anything about other than a surprise game.
Correct. I put surprise game in the notes, and that's all you know about it. I am the host. You are the contestant.
Okay.
Okay. So you've said in multiple episodes that you've spent a few years in Australia.
Yes, sir.
It was a work abroad or was an internship. I don't remember.
It wasn't an internship. I wasn't in fucking college. It was a 2-year rotation.
A 2-year rotation. All right. So it was kind of like a work abroad type
Yes.
thing, which, by the way, gave you a wife and ultimately some kids. So, I mean, obviously a good trip for you.
What? Hold
Right?
on. Let me be the judge of that. No, go ahead. Kidding.
All right. So I thought it would be funny to test how much of the Aussie slang that you've picked up and
Okay.
still remember from your time in Australia. So I'm going to show you a word or words or a
I'm down with
phrase.
this.
All right. And you have to tell me what it means.
Okay. I'll start with
And
an easy one. Tosser means David. Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to show you, because I actually set this up on my phone so you can see it and how it's spelled. All right. So if someone were to say ace, okay, what would they be saying? Let's see if I can, there we go. I got to find it where it's going to focus.
If they're calling somebody ace, that's like chief,
Yes.
buddy, friend.
All right. Yeah. I mean, literally, I think it means awesome. It's like, that's ace. Awesome. All right. Next
I
word.
don't know if I've heard it like that, but I'll get some feedback because
Okay.
we do have a few Australian friends who listen.
I got these from Australians, so this is what they're telling me.
Okay.
All right. The next word is, I don't think this camera thing is going
Why
to
don't
work.
you just fucking tell me the word? Oh,
The word is esky.
yes, that is.
Do you know what an esky is?
Yes, that's what you put your beer in it. We would call it an igloo or
Correct.
something like that. Yes.
Correct. All right. The next one is ankle biter. What is an ankle biter?
Well, if you were to go down to 12th Street in Manhattan, no,
What is an Aussie ankle biter?
I believe that means a snake.
An ankle biter is actually a child.
Oh, okay.
All right. The next one is bludger. If someone were to be called a bludger, what does that mean?
I think it deals with drinking. I think.
No, it's actually a lazy person.
Okay.
All right. Now let's get into some phrases.
I'm not sure I could tell you things in English though, just so you know. All right, go ahead. This might
All
be
right.
easier because some of them, like I've
Yeah,
heard
the
bludger,
phrases,
but
I
I don't
think, get a little bit
remember it in
easier.
that way.
Yeah. All right. If you were to crack a fat, do you know what that means?
No, I do not.
You're not doing too good here.
I know.
To crack a fat means to get an erection.
Oh, hello, hey now.
If something were considered exy, what would that mean? If someone said, hey, that's exy.
I mean, I would think like cool, interesting, sexy, that kind of thing.
Expensive, really
Oh.
expensive. All right, you got to be used to this one, especially since you were dating when you were in Australia. If you were to get a knockback, what would that be?
A knockback.
A knockback.
Well, in rugby, I believe that's when the ball goes backwards and you lose your progress. So I'm going to guess it's like a rejection.
Exactly. Very good. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Now this one's funny because I have a different word for this, and you didn't know what it was. And I'll show it to you, and then it'll probably make sense. What is a liquid laugh?
That's got to be when you pee yourself.
A liquid laugh is when you vomit.
Ugh.
We named an episode 2 episodes ago the Technicolor yawn, which is another American
didn't
slang
know.
for. Yeah. All right. If someone said you were being a sneaky beak, what would that be? A sneaky beak. I'm sorry, a sticky beak.
A sticky beak. I think
A
that just
sticky beak.
means you are being a pain. You don't want to go with the flow type thing. You're sticking to something.
Kind of close. It means you're being sneaky.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, if you and your friends get rotten, what does that mean?
Just get rotten.
Yeah. If someone were to say, I hung out with Mike yesterday and he was rotten.
I don't know it, but I'm
You
going to
rarely
guess
ever get rotten.
really nice.
Drunk.
Oh.
All right. If someone were to refer to a shark biscuit, do you know what a shark biscuit is?
I would think that's a surfer.
Close. A shark biscuit is actually a boogie board.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
think there's a name for a surfboard as well. All right. So if someone were to say, hey, that guy's tall poppies.
Tall poppies.
Tall poppies.
I would just think it means he's a good stand-up guy.
No, he's too big for his britches.
Ooh.
Yeah. This is an easy one. This is giveaway. What's fair dinkum?
That's just, it's actually used a bunch of different ways, but it's really in reference to like kind of like fair trade and treating people equal.
Right.
But it's used a
Right.
lot of different ways.
Yeah, typically they say it means like truth. Like, yeah, that's fair dinkum. Like, yeah, that's right. Like, that's right. All right. If you were wearing budgie smugglers,
Oh,
what
those
would you
are
be wearing?
thongs. Sorry, I got to clarify
Literally?
that. Those are underwear thongs,
Well, I
or
think
very, very, very short shorts.
or Speedo is
Yeah,
actually
budgies is a bird, and they
yeah.
talk about when your shit's too tight, you can see your nuts. That's what budgies are.
Your favorite meal of the day has got to be brekkie.
That's breakfast. That
Of
one's
course.
easy.
All right. If you were hanging out and one of your friends said, "Hey man, the wife's starting to get clucky. She's getting clucky." What does that mean?
Well, I think that means she's complaining, she wants to go, or she wants you home, because they call women birds down there as a nickname.
Yeah.
So it's probably in reference to that.
It's actually means that she's wanting to have kids,
Ooh.
like a bird. This one's going to be easy because you do this with the best of them. If you were to drop a dunny,
We should take it as shit.
yeah. I've
Speaking
seen dunny
of-
referred to as a toilet.
Yeah, there is a great fake documentary called Kenny. If anybody's interested in it, it's about a guy who rents porta potties for music events. It is awesome. It's everything about Australia in a fucking hour and a half movie. All right, go ahead.
All right, you and I are going to go crack a frothy. What would we be doing?
Oh, that's just gonna get a drink.
Yeah, a beer, very specifically.
Well, yeah, frothy is the the foam and shit on top. But
So
yeah,
you
can
have
get
to
a
know
drink.
this one because I'm guaranteed someone must have said this to you at some point while you were in Australia. If someone said to you, "Hey, go get stuffed,"
Yeah, it means like go fuck yourself.
yeah, pretty much. All right, from a music perspective, what is an akadaka?
That is AC/DC. The rock
Yes, the
group.
Australian-born rockers.
It took me quite a while. People talk about that for a while. I'm like, what fucking group are they talking about? And then finally you hear a song about them, and I'm like, oh, I got it.
Yeah. You don't do this, but I got to imagine either your kids or somebody else does. What happens when someone chucks a wobbly? What would you do if you were to chuck a wobbly?
Chuck. Well, so chuck means, in this case, like to throw or do something, right? So if you're chucking a wobbly, I'm going to guess means you fell.
Throw a tantrum, actually. Yeah. And then last but most certainly not least, if you were wearing a bum bag, what would you be wearing?
A bum bag is what we call a fanny pack.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, in the US, we call the ass the fanny. In Australia, they call the vagina, I'll say it for you, David, a fanny.
I've also seen a lot of people wear fanny packs on the front.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Or a bum bag.
That's interesting. So what I want to do is, so this is sometimes what happens when you talk about things about Australia. Like my friend Penrith will tell me, I'll say something to him and he's like, yeah, we don't really use that. Like fair dinkum is one where he's like, not a lot of people use that. You do hear it once in a while, but he's like, it means that, but it's not really used a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious when I'm going to ask him to go through some of these and see what he feels
how
is
much
like.
they're actually
Yeah,
valid.
like how much do we actually use them?
Yeah, so I pulled those from a couple different places. One of my favorite YouTubers, his name is Aussie Man. He does commentary on videos, and they're usually hysterical. But occasionally he gets to interview actors while they're on a promo run to promote a movie, and he'll play a game called Guess the Aussie Slang, and then he'll throw some of those out. And then Chris Hemsworth has been interviewed before. He's from Australia. He's thrown some of those out. And then I can't remember the name of the actor, but he was in a recent film with what's her name? Jennifer. I can't remember
Jennifer
her name.
Lawrence?
Yes, Jennifer Lawrence. He was in a fairly recent movie with her, and they were promoting a film, and they did something with Vanity Fair, where she's from Kentucky, he's from Australia, and she would do Kentucky words and he would do Australian words, and they were trying to guess them. So it was kind of funny. I thought it'd be funny to test your metal, so to speak. We'll have to add them up and see how you did.
Yeah, and sometimes you like I think I do a very good job on certain things. Like if we're talking about cricket and somebody will mention something about cricket or baseball, I'd be like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the equivalent of this. It's not
Mm-hmm.
exactly, but
Yeah.
you know, the baseball is the catcher and cricket it's the keeper, right? But it's relatively meant to be the same kind of role. So I usually do that stuff pretty well. So yeah, I'd be interested in what I got. I mean, look, some of those words never heard. And I'm not even saying didn't hear when I was in Australia. I mean, my wife's fucking Australian, and I haven't heard her say any of those either. So I will be interested to see how I did.
All right. So we teased from last episode that we were going to talk about a story that went from holy shit to pause and then laughter. Like,
Yes.
all right, something really interesting happened, and then oh wow, that was pretty freaking funny. I've got one, you've got two. So why don't we sandwich them and you go first?
All right. So I lived in Pelham, New York for about 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And from the apartment to the parking garage was a couple block walk. And at the end of the parking garage was the volunteer fire department. And so volunteer fire departments, if people don't know this, if you have a paid fire department in your town, volunteer firemen, the way they call some of the firemen is, I mean, now obviously with technology, it's one thing, but they run all the sirens. So there's a siren to be like, hey, basically the sound is, hey, you got to come over, get over here. We got to get out of here, like that kind of thing. So I was walking one morning to my car, and this was a good 20 something years ago. So our work papers were still hard copies. We had no big computer bag we bring with us. We were still wearing suits all the time. And I was walking and going through the garage to where my car was. And I was basically around the spot where I'm almost right behind the firehouse. And that fucking alarm goes off. Scared the living shit out of me. I dropped everything in my hands and like didn't just like drop. It was like I fucking threw the stuff like, oh, what the fuck? Shit went all over the place. And then once I realized what it was, I was like laughing as I was picking it up. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. But it was so loud and so immediate that it scared the shit out of me.
All right. I don't this is an interesting story. It's typical fraternity prank gone too far. All right. My second year in the fraternity, which I believe was my sophomore year in college, we did parties probably once a month. We had some sort of a themed party, and we just happened to have this party where we invited a hypnotist to come, and we picked three of our pledges, and we made them, and we had this apartment complex that the fraternity rented out. It was entirely ours. And then we had a pool in the middle, and the apartments were kind of in like a U shape around the pool, and there were 2 levels. So we put 3 chairs right in front of the pool, and then we had the hypnotist come out, and he was to hypnotize some of the younger, the people that were pledging the fraternity. So we picked 3 guys, and they sat down, and he did his thing, and he hypnotized them. And I'm always a skeptic. A lot of the brothers in the fraternity were skeptics. So we were like, oh, this can't be real. Like, they're just kind of going along with it, whatever. So he starts doing some things where, I think they're pretty like tame type of things, like, where he'll, make somebody like lay down and then like he'll stand on top of them and they'll like not feel it, or they'll lay across 2 chairs and then he'll stand in the middle and they won't bend or anything like that.
Right.
Like kind of showing the power of hypnosis. And then, after like, I don't know, the first like 15, 20 minutes, we're just like, this is bullshit. Like, let's test this shit, right? So we asked the hypnotist if we could make some suggestions for things for him to say. And he said, sure, why not? So we pulled him off to the side and we said, hey, they're sitting in front of a pool. All right. Want you to tell them that they're stuck to the chair. Okay, they can't move, and there's a shark in the pool, and the shark's coming at them. So he did his thing, and then he did it super dramatic, and he's like,
Did you just
and
order
there's a shark in the pool?
Did you just order a murder?
Listen. And there's a shark in the pool. All right. So everybody immediately grabs their chair and stands up. We didn't think that. We thought like, hey, if they were stuck to the chair, then they just wouldn't move, right? And they would just sit there. Everybody grabs their chair and starts running around like crazy. One dude runs into a wall. One dude falls into the pool. The other dude is standing there, doesn't know what to do. He's wearing gray sweatpants. He pees his pants.
Oof.
Literally, you just see it, and all of a sudden, just like in the movies, his pants just get sopping wet. And we were like, holy shit. I mean, it was one thing to like, you know, do the little hypnotic suggestions, but the other thing entirely, like literally someone peed themselves because they actually thought it was real. And then one of the dudes that ran into the wall, like literally like almost like bludgeoned himself, like he was bleeding and stuff like that. And we had to take care of him, but it was freaking hysterical. It was just one of those things where after like we were done, we were like, we're believers. And the dude that peed himself was one of like the most manly dudes in the fraternity. He was
Not
like, you know,
anymore. Now he's PPP.
wrestler, former football player, like not something that you would take lightly. And he literally peed his pants in front of the entire, you know, people at the party. It was fucking hysterical.
So do you, obviously you saw that, but do you believe you can be hypnotized?
Well, after seeing that, yeah, I've never been hypnotized, but after seeing that 100%.
So I
I don't think someone can make themselves pee their pants on command. I don't think that's.
I'll do it right now. Go ahead.
Nor would you at a party with women and men, and you know, we were all single, so yeah. I don't think so.
So the only time I've had a run in with something like that was we were in Vegas. We went to a show, my wife and I, and she got picked to go on stage. And so while she's on stage, the guy hypnotized 4 or 5 people, and she was one of them. So whatever he's telling her to do, jump, she jumped. How high, she do it. Do this, move it here. She was doing all that stuff. So it was really funny. The whole thing was very enjoyable. She gets off stage later, and we're like, oh, we got to know. What was it like? What did it feel like? She's like, yeah, I was faking it the whole time. Basically, like, she was like, if they told us if you don't get hypnotized, just play along. It makes the show better.
Yeah.
I'm like, motherfucker.
Yeah, we asked the guy afterwards because he came over to us and he was like, "You guys are assholes! Like, I can't believe you made me do that." He was like, "By the way, I expect a really big tip after that one." He's like, "I think my insurance just got tested there," but we were asking him and he was like, he said it doesn't always work. When it does work, it works 100%. All right, but we said, well, you know, have you ever been like doing a show in front of a crowd and it didn't work? He says, yeah. He's like, usually I'll hypnotize like 10 people at a time. And like 3 or 4 of them will just kind of like, you can tell they just kind of sit there in a daze and they don't listen. You just tell them to get up and get them off stage and like, just, okay, it didn't work. Like move on. Let me focus on,
weed out the weak.
Yeah. Let me focus on the people that it worked on. Yeah.
So, in the great vein of Ron Burgundy, you said when it works 100% of the time.
60% of the time it works.
Every time. That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, Faith, so you were able to tell a hypnosis guy to use his skills for questionable reasons. Faith in humanity -1, I think.
He was conned into it, and we told him we'd give him a good tip. I will tell you this. After experiencing that, I think you start to get a feeling for how dangerous that power could be in the wrong hands.
Oh,
right. You watched the movie Get Out, right?
No, I haven't watched that. The horror movie. No, I haven't watched it.
Serious.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude, one of the great all-time horror films. It's I won't ruin the story, but it has a lot to do with, you know, the wife is a hypnotist. And she uses it to her advantage. But having experienced that when I was in college, it makes that all that much more believable.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, right? The old Spider-Man line.
Yeah.
So the other story, I have one other story. So my cousin Yanni used to keep some of his extra furniture in my old house's basement because we had a ton of room. And so he comes over, we load up his car, and it was a bunch of big pieces of furniture. And so we fill up the car, we get everything positioned as best we can, and the car is packed. And so now I'm standing behind the car. He goes in the car to get in to leave. And when he gets in, it sounds like a gunshot, right? So like, I'm like, well, what the fuck just happened? So he stops the car, he gets out. Well, we realized what happened. This is where we went from holy shit to we started laughing. When he got in his chair, because we packed it so much, he pushed back on the furniture pushed back on the back glass and just blew out the fucking back glass.
Oh shit.
So glass just went flying everywhere, and it was that pop that we heard that we were both like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah.
I could not stop laughing. Once it's like, "Oh, everything's all right, everybody's fine," I
Uh-huh.
could not stop laughing at that. And he kept going, "I cannot believe that just fucking happened. I
That's an
cannot believe I
expensive
just did that."
yeah, that's an expensive mistake too.
Yes.
That's just not cheap.
So that was great.
Yeah. You want to play a quick game of pod deck questions?
Sure.
Let's play Would You Rather. I actually pre-picked this one because I knew I wouldn't be able to get my phone out and actually pull up the pod deck in time.
Okay.
So would you rather snort wasabi or get a jalapeno seed stuck in your eye?
Oof. So, all right. I'm gonna break this down a little bit. I know then I start getting you're overthinking this. It's not supposed to be this way. Go fuck yourself. So I feel if you snort wasabi, just like when you have a little bit too much on your sushi, it's that quick burn, goes away after a little bit, you kind of reset. I can see that jalapeno seed being in your eye, you feeling it forever. I have a friend, Mighty Eagle, recently. She was cutting jalapenos. She obviously the oil and stuff got all over her hands. She said
Yeah,
her
that shit
hands were
sticks with you for
burning
days.
for hours. And at one point, she sent me a photo of like her hands in like, I don't know if it was like cottage cheese or butter or something. Cause she's like, I'm just trying to make the burn go away. So I'm going to go with the snort wasabi. What would you do?
Before I tell you what I do, I actually had an instance once of where I used to have a chili pepper garden in my backyard, and I used to grow like anything I can get seeds for, I would grow it. Habanero, like Carolina Reaper, like anything that I can get my hands on, I would grow it in the backyard. And of course we would use them. Mostly because jalapenos grow like weeds, like, you know, mostly I would try and dry them out and then just kind of break them up into like a pepper and then put it in a jar and then like sprinkle it on foods because the seeds are actually pretty good. One time I was cutting up jalapenos and didn't really think, forgot to wash my hands, and then I had to pee.
Ooh.
And I went to the bathroom, and I kid you not, it burned for a solid 6 to 8 hours. Wow. Like this was like at noon, I think I was making salsa for like just chips and salsa. And I remember going to bed that night going, thank God that's finally over. Like it was pretty fucking bad. So having said that, I would still rather have an jalapeno seed in my eye than snort wasabi. And the reason being is, have you ever eaten wasabi and just, it's like horseradish. It's like immediately it goes straight up to your nostrils and your eyes start watering and you start like coughing. And it's just like, that feeling to me is 10 times worse than a burning eye. So I would rather have the jalapeno eye than the snort the wasabi all day long.
So when your dick was on fire, you sure wasn't like crabs or something, right?
Gonorrhea.
It sure was sure was the big G, gonorrhea.
I think Eddie Murphy's got a really good skit about that.
No, Doc, it's not burning. I'm shooting fire out my dick.
Yeah, that's exactly it. All right, next one.
All right, I'm going to ask you this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Would you rather have eyes that have night vision or ears that have sonar?
I would rather have night vision all day long. I just see so many uses for it. I mean, sonar is kind of good in the water. Like, is it good outside of the water? I guess.
Don't bats use sonar as well, or do they use radar?
Yeah, I guess you're right. No. I think that. I don't know. We'll have to look that one up. Google police. Somebody look that up. I don't know. But I would rather have night vision all day long. Like, I think that would be fucking badass.
Can I ask if the night vision...
I would rather have regular good day vision and not have to wear contacts.
That's not a question here, buddy.
Oh, damn it.
Can I try to loop in night vision and x-ray vision? Because that'd be awesome. And then a sonar. I'm going to... Look, we can get ripped apart later by somebody, but I'm going to assume sonar is the same as radar. One's in water, one's out of water. I think they're the exact same thing. So I'm just going to lump it as one. If the sonar / radar gave me abilities like Daredevil, then I would take that. But
yeah, see, that's where I don't think, because I think the question is geared around eyes that have night vision or ears that have sonar. So you'd be able to hear everything around you and probably further away. So here's where that would be good. Let's just say that it's an enhanced hearing, you'd be able to hear people having conversations about you from across the room.
Well, why don't you just use fucking hearing aids now? You can do the same shit.
Yeah, and they're Bluetooth too. A buddy of
Yeah.
mine has hearing aids, and I didn't know this, but they're Bluetooth. And every once in a while, when I used to work with him, I'd be like, "You're kind of zoning out." He's like, "No." He's like, "ACDC." I'm like, "You bastard."
Akadaka.
Akadaka.
So yeah, I'd rather have the night vision. I think that would be more beneficial.
Yeah, I think I would get a lot more use out of that. In fact, so much so that it would probably make me not want to go to sleep because I would be out there wanting to use it all the time.
Night vision? So you would just
Oh.
stay up all night?
No, I'd probably sleep during the day and just fucking fuck around at night because you can see anything.
So you've quickly become a vampire just by being able to see clear at night.
Hey, it's a superpower. You want to get the most out of it. Gotta use it.
Superpower? I mean,
I don't know.
you can get a fucking night vision goggles, right? You're not Superman all of a sudden.
All right. Let's talk about the one crazy question.
All right.
So this one's pretty funny, but go ahead.
All right. So have you ever been purposely cock blocked or have cock blocked someone else? Jalapeno cock aside. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Cock blocked. Have you ever cock blocked yourself? Yes. Yes.
My mouth has done that many times in my life. Where the girl's like, and we're done here.
So my sophomore year, again, of my fraternity, and I just realized how many great fraternity stories I have that I just, like, for some reason, like, blocked out most of my college existence, which is ironic because it was 6 fucking years long. You'd think I would have a ton of stories from that time, and I do. I have some
and
really
a
good ones. Yeah. No, don't have a doctorate, but I have good stories to tell. And I totally forgot about this one until this question came up. And so sophomore year, freshman year, I lived in the dorms. And first year, I lived with one of my soon-to-be fraternity brothers. We ultimately rushed the same fraternity and joined. I'm sorry, first half of the year. Second half of the year, he moved into the house, in the fraternity house. I did not. Don't know why. I can't remember why, but I ended up staying in the dorm thinking that I would get the entire room to myself. I was even willing to pay more money to have just the entire dorm room to myself. I petitioned the school. They denied me, but didn't tell me. And then one day, all of a sudden, I get a knock on the door and somebody's fuddling with the key trying to get in. I let him in and, hey, guess what? I'm your new roommate. And he happened to be from Malaysia and was one of the rudest people I think I've ever met in my entire life. In fact, we almost got into a couple like really big altercations while we lived together because he was just like ridiculously rude.
God, I wish you would have said we almost came to blows. That would have been so much better.
No,
college life, experimenting.
Anyways, while I was living with him, I ended up spending much more time in the fraternity, which is like, I should have just moved in. So anyway, sophomore year, I'm moving into the fraternity house, right? So I get a roommate because I can't afford to have my own room. And I'm living off of like financial aid and like loans and stuff like that. So I was already like strapped for cash, didn't have a job yet. And so my roommate is, I don't want to give his name, but you know who you are. And he was, one of the more popular guys in the fraternity, super cool dude. I would still hang out with him any day of the week. Just one of those really likable guys, both likable by men and likable by women. Little did I know this was going to be a big issue in our relationship because I move in, school starts in like August. I move in August, and the first conversation, we have bunk beds, right? So, and they're T-shaped. So mine's like against the wall and his is like the facing, perpendicular to mine underneath, right? So if I were to lean over, I can see down on almost in his entire bed. And so we have the conversation about the sock on the door. All right. Every roommate's always had that conversation. If there's a sock on the door, it means I'm getting busy. Don't bother me. And I'm like, all right, well, this goes both ways. So I'm cool with it. You know what? You're going to get some, I'm going to get some, and it's going to be a great thing, right? Little did I know that this dude was a fucking master hookup artist. All right. So week number 1, Friday night, we have a rager at the fraternity house. We have like 6 different sororities over. He ends up hooking up with a girl. I come back, not hooking up with anybody, drunk off my ass, and there's a sock on the door. Fuck. All right, I'm going to go sleep on the couch. So I go and I fall asleep on the couch. The couch is a hand-me-down couch from the last 6 guys who lived in the apartment. It smells like a combination of ass, beer farts, and like non-cleaned up sex. It's just the most disgusting thing you can possibly imagine, right?
Oh, you should
All
write
right.
Hallmark cards.
Oh yeah. So I put a towel, a blanket down, and I sleep on it, and I'm fine, right? All right. Next night, it's Saturday night. I'm 19, maybe 20 at the time. Not old enough to go out to the bars. He is. He goes out to the bars with a bunch of the other guys in the fraternity house. I hang out. We have drinks by the pool or whatever. I come back to go to bed. Sock on the door. Motherfucker. All right, fine. So at this point, I'm like, I'm just gonna like keep like a blanket and a pillow in a closet by the door because it seems like this is gonna be a regular thing. All right, week goes through, fine. Next weekend comes up, Friday night. I don't even think we did anything great, right? We were just hanging out. I come back to the room, sock on the door, and I can hear it. I'm like, all right, fuck. Like, is this gonna be like a thing like every single time? So I do my thing. Saturday night, same thing. So I've been in the house 2 weeks. Each Friday and each Saturday, this guy has had somebody else in our room. So I'm now no longer living in my room on the weekends anymore. All right. Next week comes up. It's Wednesday, right? And I have a bad week. I think I have like an exam. So I'm out at the library late studying for an exam. That's on the Thursday, right? And I end up coming home, sock on the door. I'm like, fuck this. I pull the sock off the door, open the door, close the door, slam the door shut, climb up into my bed and go and just like fall asleep.
Wow.
So there was like silence for like the first like 15 minutes.
And then you can hear you.
And then all of a sudden I hear a little bit of like movement going on. And then all of a sudden I hear like sloppy kissing. And then all of a sudden I hear and smell all sorts of things that you probably shouldn't smell. And I'm just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So it didn't deter him one bit. And this is like 2 weeks into school. And I'm like, where are the notches? Like, this guy is a fucking legend. And and no reason, like, there was no wonder that nobody else wanted to live with this guy, is because they didn't want to have to deal with the fact that they were never going to be able to sleep in the bed. Anyways, after that, I sat him down. I'm like, dude, like, you either got to, invest in a hotel. I'm not doing this. I'm not paying rent, or you're going to have to pay my rent because I'm not paying rent for a room that I'm not using. So it was pretty fucking bad.
So a couple things. One, when you were listening to him, did you jerk off and shoot a load over the side?
I did not.
All right, just check.
I did not.
Two, is there any possibility that the guy just forgot the sock on the door for a few days and appears as well? Maybe.
No. Every time it was, I woke up in the morning to breakfast with another lady. Wow. Yeah, it was both epic and frustrating at the same time.
Well, good for him. I wasn't a player in college. I dated a little bit and stuff like that. But look, I was into my late teens, probably before I was like willing to even work girls into like, well, I'd rather hang out with my friends. Until like I was my late teenage years before I was like, hey, this girl's kind of interesting, like, and started looking into that. So for me, what happened with me is not as multi-tiered as yours. There was a girl who, when we were younger, we kind of liked each other a little bit, and things fell away just as you do. You grow up. Now I think we were in college at this point, but different colleges. And one of the summers we were all together, and we went to her house. We were all having a house party type thing, and her and I were hitting it off really well. And another guy there had a very big interest in her as well. And so, me fucking around, joking around with people, at one point he like takes her on a walk to specifically keep her away from me. And then he is gone so long that I'm just like, wow, fuck it. I'm not interested in this. I'm going to leave. So we find out later that one, yes, he did do that because he was trying to get her away from me so he could make a move on her. But then two, and this is like, karma at his best, supposedly that relationship was really terrible. She was really terrible. Sex was really terrible. So I actually was like, I now say to him, thanks, buddy. Thanks for saving me from that for cock blocking me.
Nice.
Yeah, so that worked out.
All right. Got anything in the joke vault?
I do. This one's back to a full length one. This one is like one of those call and responses type things. Like I would be trying to play up the crowd and getting responses from them. All right. So you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Please let me
Make
get
me
through
laugh,
it before you.
motherfucker.
Please let me get through it before you start picking on inaccuracies. I don't know if there are any, but just saying. All right. Anyone here a veteran? Yeah? Great. I am too. I was in Cub Scouts Troop 914. Don't laugh. Two toughest years of my life. So many merit badge tests. So many that I didn't get my knot tying badge because I could only remember 81 of the 107 knots. And the camping badge, let me tell you, that includes making a fire with 2 sticks. I was so bad at it that eventually Smokey the Bear came over, gave me a lighter, and said, "Here, this is just sad." Smokey said, "When I said only you can prevent forest fires, I didn't mean starting a campfire." Wonder how many people listening to this actually know who the fuck Smokey the Bear is.
Smokey the Bear is actually still a thing. I actually saw a sign, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was at one of the parks riding my bike
while starting a fire.
No, there was a sign that had Smokey the Bear on it. It didn't. It just said, forest fire danger, and then it had like a Smokey the Bear thing. So it's still a thing.
All right, so it's good to hear he's still a thing. I'd like to know if Crime McGruff, what was the dog? McGruff?
Yeah.
McGruff the crime dog, I think his name was.
Yes, I do remember that. That I don't know, although I can envision exactly what he looks like, and so I feel like it's like fairly recent that I've seen him. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember what he looked like.
They were part of that, on Saturday morning cartoons or whatever you were watching when they broke into one of those, hey, the more you know, star and the rainbow and shit.
Well, that also reminds me, do you remember the, hey, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Yes.
Like every night on TV at 10 p.m.
Yes.
Yeah. And the only people watching TV at 10 p.m. were children like me and you.
My mom's out back.
What about the Indian? Remember the Indian that had the sad
who was actually
eye?
like Italian, that guy?
Yeah. Because I think it was like for littering or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like one of those like anti-littering campaigns.
But I watch American Pickers. I think I've mentioned that before on the show. And they had an episode where they went to a place where somebody had a lot of that guy's stuff. And they talked about how he wasn't actually Native American. He was like Joe from Chicago type thing, right? Like he had nothing to do with that background, but he was hired for the commercial and then fell in love with their traits and beliefs and style and all that. And so he did that forever. But yeah, I remember all those. Maybe you should show a couple photos of them. Smokey the Bear, McGruff the crime dog, and the Native American that I don't remember his name.
I think McGruff the crime dog, I think I've seen him used in, I don't know if you guys have this, but in Phoenix, there's a lot of communities, small communities.
The ninth largest communities?
They have the neighborhood crime watch signs all over the place. I think I've seen McGruff used in that context.
No. All right. So.
Oh, is that it? Is there no more jokes? That was the joke? That was it?
One joke.
Oh. Sometimes you have like a whole like.
No, that's when they're like the little quick hits. This was a full
gotcha.
Joke. Or
all right.
Joke, as you call it.
Yeah. So before we end the episode, all right, we have another game to play.
Yes.
And the reason why we kept this for the end of the episode is because we don't know if we're going to be able to talk after this game is done.
Yes.
All right. So we teased a while back that we might do the Fiery Beanboozled. Well, what you see right here is Fiery Beanboozled. And we've got a little spinner here, and we're going to spin it and see what it comes up with. So these are actually prepackaged. I didn't realize that, so I'm going to have to open a couple of these to make sure that we get them out.
First things first, I feel jelly bean envy. When I played the game, I picked it and it's this big. You picked the game, it is this big. For people watching, just to give you an idea, you can fit about 6 of the ones I have in this one thing for you.
If you open it up, there's not nearly as many jelly beans. In fact, I'm going to.
Because there's no fucking good or bad ones. They're just all bad.
They're all bad. Yeah. Although I will say, sriracha, I'm interested in because sriracha is. So let's read off the flavors. So there's sriracha, jalapeno, cayenne, habanero, and Carolina Reaper. Now, heat levels in peppers are measured in something called Scoville units. And I think it's just named after the dude that came up with it, right? So like, for example, like an Anaheim pepper, and someone's gonna have to check me on this, is, on a scale, an Anaheim pepper might be 100, a jalapeno might be 1,000.
Yeah.
Like
I think jalapenos are a couple thousand, yes.
Yeah, a habanero might be 10,000. I'm pretty sure like the Carolina Reaper is like 50 to 100,000 on Scoville units, which is like measure of heat. So so here's what I thought we would do.
I've had anxiety all day about this, by the way.
I had anxiety about the last Beanboozled.
I felt my heart pounding all day knowing that I had to do this tonight.
So I told my wife to get her phone and dial 911 and just leave it, just in case one of us has a heart attack. Although if you have a heart attack, I don't know what to do. I have to call your wife.
Yeah. For anybody listening, if I have a heart attack, this is the order. You come and clear my search, then you call my wife. Search first, wife second.
All right. So I need to put these jelly beans into, all right. So the orange ones are habanero.
Well, hold on, slow down. First of all, I'm only doing like 2 of these. So one bag looks like it has one of each.
Them, otherwise,
at least one of each.
All right. So you have to separate them. All right. So I have one green. I don't know if I do have one Carolina Reaper. I don't know if I have a cayenne though. I don't see. Oh, maybe that's a cayenne.
I hope I have neither.
Yeah, that's a cayenne. Right.
I did recommend. I did suggest to my wife today. I'm like, I'm seriously even more thinking about cheating, like I was going to do last time.
Come on,
but I'm not.
Michael.
I'm not.
I think we'll know. So the funny story about this is on the packaging for this, they actually give you like, like how to like dissipate the heat after it's, you've eaten it. And I was reading it, and it's such small print. I'm like, maybe Mike won't notice. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Because
what do you people at home feel about this? When a package comes with a warning like this, do not drink water if the jelly bean is too spicy. Drinking water is a great way to take that heat and redistribute it to every part of your mouth. Do drink milk, eat ice cream, rice, honey, or even lime to extinguish the burn. Don't say we didn't warn you. It is hot. So I am also, reminder, lactose intolerant.
So there goes milk and ice cream. What are you doing?
I got almond milk. I hope to fucking God it has the same effect.
I feel like almond milk might work. All right. So I'm gonna spin it, okay? Because I'll put it up to the camera and spin it, and see what we get, and we're both gonna eat that flavor. You have to show the color to the camera so we make sure that we're not cheating. All right?
Fucking touch it. I'm gonna use I got contacts in, dude. All right, I'm gonna use a piece of
don't
tape.
Don't touch your eyes, otherwise you're gonna find out if snorting wasabi was the better option.
I am only willing to do 2 of these. One spin for you, one spin for me.
All right, you ready?
Yes.
I'm gonna spin it.
Jalapeno.
And the winner is sriracha.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
All right, it's not bad. All right, so sriracha is the red one that doesn't have any markings on it.
Look, I'm holding it up with tape. Ready?
All right, there's mine. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
That's not sriracha.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like sriracha. It tastes like
It tastes like a pepper.
Yeah, it doesn't taste like sriracha though. I actually love sriracha and put it in almost everything.
Yeah, and I love 1/1000th of what you put it in. Like you'll put a scoop in, I'll put a drop in.
Yeah.
The burn is continuing though.
That hasn't watched the show before, this is somewhat of an unfair game. I absolutely love spicy things. Mike sweats if you put too much cracked black pepper on his food.
I might have eaten a habanero.
No, the habanero's orange. You would know. You're just being a pussy. That's it.
Whoa! That's a no-go word. We're not supposed to say that.
No, you can't use it to represent a vagina, but you can call someone a pussy like you are.
Yeah.
So it's okay.
I'm representing a vagina when I call you.
Because we got sriracha, I feel like we should do more than 2, but we'll do the next one and we'll see where it lands.
You ready?
Are you gonna spin it this time?
Yeah.
All right, you spin it.
You're not gonna have all the spin fun.
I have a better spin than you do. Oh, you're a dick. Oh, that's not bad. So since we did, it looks like it's pointing towards jalapeno, but yeah, let's do jalapeno. I feel like that's not a bad one. We got off easy on that. We're definitely doing a third. I love jalapenos, by the way.
Green. So when I eat a jalapeno, I take all the veins out. I take all this. I'm telling a story here.
Go ahead, tell the story.
I take all the veins out. I take all the seeds out. And so let's say they give you 5 on an order. I take one of them and cut it into 10 little pieces, and that's what I use on the whole order. All right. Thanks for waiting. 3, 2, 1. Now you finished first, just like your sex life.
Not true. It is not true.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not. It tastes like a jalapeno.
Mhm.
You know what it tastes like? It
Yeah.
went down the wrong pipe. It tastes like the jalapeno potato chips.
That's not that bad, actually.
Oh.
I also made some club soda with lime juice in it. Let me see if that helps. This could be a disaster. Yeah, not the way to go.
All right. We got to get a good one. All right. I'm hoping for either habanero or Carolina Reaper. Ready?
Well, how about no? Ooh, it's kicking. They're burning. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not everybody could be like you and almost vomit on rotten egg. Tough guy.
Yeah, that was pretty gross.
All right.
I made a Instagram clip.
All right. So how
on
about
that
this?
one.
Last one. No duplicate. All right. So we're gonna be doing one of the hotter ones.
All right.
That's all I'm
I
agreeing.
feel like cayenne is a little bit of a throwaway too, because it's cayenne isn't like hot at all.
Yeah,
it's not as hot as I don't think it's hot. I used to grow cayennes in my backyard, and jalapenos are way hotter.
There's a Scoville scale. Yeah, you're spinning. Go ahead.
Oh. Ah, come on.
I want to see that shit spin.
There
I
we
don't want
go.
no rigging.
All right.
I didn't see it spin. You motherfucker.
You heard it spin. It's habanero. All right. It's the only orange one, so you can't screw this up.
Okay, I don't have an orange one in this bag.
All right. Open a new bag.
Why?
You better not be opening like a pack of like Orange Dream.
Oh, wait a minute.
The suspension is killing me.
Yeah, oh my god, no, this is definitely one. I'm like,
suspense.
is this what? Yeah, I see it in this one. It's in here.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. I'm expecting this to be ridiculously hot.
So, Junior,
Carolina Reaper is off the charts, but habanero is
how did your
pretty
daddy
far up
die? Oh, it's a funny story.
there.
He has this
Oh, well,
asshole
let me
with a
show
friend.
you. Let me show you. It's on YouTube.
He made him eat a habanero jelly bean. And what makes it worse was Mommy got to the computer first. Fuck.
Oh, come on. Like, I got to cut out all this dead air?
No, it's not that air. You can leave it in.
All right.
All right.
I
Habanero.
can't
My
believe you're
nose is
using
running.
fucking a piece of tape.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
3,
1, 2, 3,
2,
go.
1, go.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I got to the liquid center on the heated building. I think I might.
Wow,
I might start drooling.
that does taste like habanero. I mean, yeah. Like 100%.
I got to be honest, that wasn't as. Now it's coming.
No, that wasn't bad at all.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, though I can feel the burning in my mouth. And
Yeah.
it is getting worse.
I feel like we need to do the Carolina Reaper.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
Let's leave that as a tease for next time.
No, I feel like we need to do it right now.
No.
This is the season finale, Michael. This is the season finale. Let's do it.
But I'm going to be very unprofessional. I got to eat on camera. I got a honey-coated nut here.
A honey-coated nut. That could mean a lot of things. Is that Aussie slang for something?
His name's Jim.
I'm not even gonna. By the way, this honey fucking doesn't work. My mouth is still on fire from the last couple.
Just almond milk is a poor substitute.
All right. Ready for the Carolina Reaper.
Mm-mm. Why do we got this stupid fucking spinny thing if we're not using it?
Because we've done almost all of them. We're going to get a dupe. It's going to take a half hour to get it to Carolina Reaper. The only other one we haven't tried is cayenne. Come on, let's do it. Come on, let's do it.
Look, it just
See?
doesn't want to come. So, all right, have a good night. Thanks, everybody, for joining.
Come on. By the way, if you die on this, I'm going to feel really bad.
But It's a memory to last forever.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Look, kids, want to watch the time that Uncle Mike died?
I think I drooled on myself.
Ugh. All right.
So here's the problem. The left side of my mouth is the only side I've been eating them on. So it almost feels like when you're at a doctor and you fucking shot your mouth full of Novocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Question is, do I just keep going on that side or do I put it on the other side?
I'll put it on the other side. Put it on the virgin side.
Ugh. Hold on. It's the darker red with dots.
It's red with dark spots on it.
This the one?
No, yeah, I don't know.
It has spots on it.
It's got dark red spots on it. The dark with the light spots on it is the cayenne. You don't want that.
All right. Ready?
All right. Ready?
3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
I swallowed it without chewing. Loophole.
That's fucking hot.
Yeah, I'm glad I swallowed it without chewing. I did
Your
it
stomach's going to be on fire tonight.
better than my mouth.
Wow.
I'm out.
Eyes are watering. Nose is starting to burn. That was fucking hot. Woo.
I'm trying to find if there's a person's name
Now
on here.
that
who I could
was
tell
worth the price of admission.
to go fuck.
Holy shit.
And if anybody's interested, you can eat 4 whole bags for only 110 calories.
We're going to try some honey with that one. By the way, I absolutely hate honey. This is the most disgusting and putrid thing ever.
I like being able to feel my tongue. So
And it doesn't work. And I just found a sore in my mouth. You know, like when you're like cutting limes or something like that and you don't realize you have a cut until the lime juice gets over it and it burns. Yeah, I just found an open sore in my mouth. Whew. All right. With that, ladies and gentlemen, sneak peek for next season.
yes,
What are we doing next season? Oh, we have to announce the trip.
yes. So at some point over the next season of episodes, which if this one was 20, we guess the next one will be around the same. We have decided on, drum roll please, West Virginia.
Roll the country road, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home. Watch, we'll get like docked on YouTube for that, for copyright infringement.
Hopefully you did it short enough. So I'm feeling the burn.
Yeah, I got that one's. I'm still like trying to recover from the Carolina Reaper.
So a couple of the other things we're going to do for the next season, we're going to try to come up with some new segments. We're
Yes.
going to come up with some new games.
You're gonna be funnier.
Maybe. It'll be the same old idiots though. So with that, I'm Michael Carter.
And I'm David Michael.
And we are
ridiculously hot.
Beanboozled.
Ciao.
Bye.